I answer my question very specifically. I don't say I have a favorite, but I do have favorite version.
Oh,
So,
okay.
for example, I really think that if you're going to listen to White Christmas, you just got to listen to Bing sing it.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast with the goal to educate, inform, and save their listeners time as they navigate the market and properties in their neighborhoods. Get ready to join real-life siblings and professional real estate advisors, Donna Reed and Eric Seemann, as they discuss how it may be simple, but it ain't always easy.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast that just ain't typical. I'm Donna, and he's Eric, and we are the Real Siblings. We're both professional realtors with Keller Williams, and for your reference, he's Santa Claus, I'm not. Holidays are over. He's taking it easy for a couple of days, I think, and then he'll start thinking about it next year. So we're recording this on the 26th of December for a 28th release date. Whew.
Right. That is Boxing Day.
That's true.
In, I believe, the United States, in Canada, New Zealand, Great Britain, and Australia.
That is correct. I had a client this morning tell me he preferred red boxes. I was like, okay. Anyway, while the topics may vary and our conversations go in a lot of directions, we try to provide our listeners with insights into the industry of real estate and equip them for their next transaction, along with a lot of diversity and weaving around related to lifestyle, which is kind of where we're going today, huh, Eric?
That would be correct. It is the end of the year, and we are wrapping up the season, the year with holiday stuff.
Really well put.
Yeah, you alluded to it, but
I did.
We're both talking about, before we record, like we always do, what's normal anymore. The traditions we had, the things we did that were so, I don't want to say, maybe regimented sounds militaristic, but were such a part of our annual routine.
Right. There was no question. Yeah.
It's these things were happening.
Yep.
And here we are, 50 years later, 40 to 50 years later, right?
Yeah.
And not quite so much.
Yeah. And that started with the hunting for the tree, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. If you go back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Think that all the way through. And at some point, since you just brought that up, I think we need to get Pee Wee or Mark and Laura or Bob, Mikey on a Zoom and talk about the craziness of hunting Christmas trees, the Lyerleys, the Seemann Christmas tree hunt for 10 years or so.
However many years we did that. Yeah.
And hot dogs in the snow and baked beans on an open fire. And there were no chestnuts roasting. No. I remember baked beans and hot dogs and falling through the ice. And those are the memories.
Chestnuts. You're right. So what was your routine has totally changed. It's been an evolution over the years as you've become more and more involved with Santa, which is what we talked about. But even to the point of starting some of that in the summer to have the production for the end of the year.
Yeah. And I can't even picture for me moving forward, what retirement's going to look like. Mm-hmm. Because I have a friend who has just decided that he is done with 35 plus years in real estate and auctioneering in Southern Indiana, Northern Kentucky. Oh. And he is leaving it all, walking away to Santa Claus full time. And he just finished up his season from Kentucky, working 7 days at the Hong Kong International Airport as Father Christmas.
Did we talk the last time about this whole international thing and how there's big Santa conventions and stuff, right? Wow.
We did. We briefly, but this is, as I say, I haven't even had a chance enough to connect with him. I just told him he got this new, amazing, green, authentic fur Father Christmas thing. And it's like, where the heck are you? Did you end up in England? And he goes, no, Hong Kong, but that's why the Father Christmas.
Yeah.
because they have so many Brits who come in and out of Hong Kong with family and business relationships and everything that still exists in Hong Kong. So what does that look like? I don't know. And yes, I have been very, very, very busy. My last thing that I did was about 11 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve.
And so if we go back to our childhood, it was pretty much a given. We would hunt the tree. Dad would make the wreath, especially when we were on Main Street when you were really little, and he would use the greens from the tree or another tree and create the wreath that went around that front window at 107 South Main. 107 South Main. And then we would go through the season. We always went to church. We were always in a Christmas play, as youth and as youth fellowship. And then we went Christmas Eve. I think maybe there was only one service, right, on Christmas Eve because it was a small church.
We're a small town. We were not at one of those things where you had, our church this past year had a 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and a 6 o'clock Christmas Eve service.
And we had 11, 5, 7, and 9. All different.
And Lindsey Trinity has una más.
Right. Right. One service. But as part of this, when we go back to the real estate piece of it, after we had moved from Main Street and we were in the 1868 house that was right across from the church,
right?
There's comments from people through the years about how they knew that we had the little candles in all the windows. So again, tradition.
Even that was a tradition. The fact that Dad actively sought out auctions
to find those
and estate sales to pick one or two more wreaths so that from the top of the house in the mansard roof, the attic area, the two windows up there had wreaths. Yeah. Then all of the windows, the only window on the second floor that did not have a wreath was the one where the circulating fan
in the center room
was mounted in the orange room at the top of the stairs because it just faced out to
nothing,
a one-story mansard roof. And then downstairs, we put red wreaths. If the Christmas tree wasn't there, there was a red wreath in the window. The 3 in the library study, the one that was also in the same room facing the church.
We can sing tradition. So after... So I'm trying to think Christmas Eve and then Carol and Candlelight, if they were two entirely different services.
I only remember Carol and Candlelight
as
much as anything, because by Christmas Eve, we had to do it after the Carol and Candlelight is when folks had to come over.
Right.
Because Christmas Eve, if we went to church, we were climbing in the car and we were headed to Gibsonburg.
That's true.
To get together with Lyerly's, or Lyerly's were headed our direction.
Right.
Because it was their year to come to our house.
And that was happening even when I had moved back there and I had little kids.
Right.
So there was this interim time of when we first got the Christmas trees with Jack and Nancy House and Jim and Bill and Dad's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
back like
Jim,
early
that Bill
days.
has passed away.
Yep. Yeah. Bill just passed.
Isn't that what I said?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I didn't hear the full name. So, sorry. And I thought you said Jim. So anyway, yes, then the tradition was that the church would come over. And we've had Rachel on the show, and Rachel said she remembers as a little girl, just looked forward to coming to our house for cookies and hot chocolate and stuff afterwards. And what's interesting to me to think about is from the fact that, I live in a house which has one room, goes from the kitchen all the way through.
Yeah, a great room with an open concept, referring back to one of our...
Right, and it's still 1979.
Where I don't live in an open concept.
Right. But that house had all these little rooms, right? We had the room you walked into off the Lynn Street porch. We had the library. We had the room with the Christmas tree in it. We had the dining room. We had the kitchen. And I think of all the people that came and went because it was cold. It wasn't like it was here. It was, 80 degrees the other day. So it must have just been stand up only. Nobody worried about if everybody could sit down because there was no way that everybody could sit
They were
down.
mixing and mingling. I think we might have had 3 people on one sofa, 2 people on each of the love seats, and a couple of people would share the piano bench.
Yeah.
And they would just kind of mix and mingled and stood around, and Dad made his famous
eggnog.
Frosty eggnog. Which is in the Grow and Glow
cookbook
under as Frosty eggnog.
That's so funny because Caleb asked me the other day, we were doing this game that you have to name 3 things in 5 seconds. And one of them was 3 things in eggnog besides the eggs. And he goes, do you have a recipe for that? Like he had no idea. And
of course it was a a virgin
Exactly.
eggnog.
There was no bourbon.
There was
or
no
anything
booze in the nog. It was just creamy, uncooked egg custard, right?
Yeah, which was delish. 10,000 calories, but it was good. So then we go, and then our tradition was, as you said, Christmas Eve with typically Lyerlies as the years went by. And then Christmas morning, opening presents. And how old were you when Grandpa died?
14. Christmas 1979.
So Grandpa would come from Chicago
and
be there through Christmas. And when Grandma Seemann was alive, she was there. I can't tell you if they were ever both at the same time.
I really do, because Grandma would normally come in ahead of time. And I think Grandpa would move out and Grandpa would move in, and then, because as big as the house was, we really didn't have guest room.
Right. It's really interesting to think about. And then sometimes we would be taking Grandpa back to Chicago after Christmas. We'd drive back. And anyway, and then we got to New Year's. And do you remember our family trying to play Old Lang Syne? Like when you were like with Mom on the piano, Dad on the trumpet. I had either a violin.
Did you have to play the violin?
Yeah. And then tubas?
No, we didn't have any tubas at the house. I never brought one home the whole time I played. If Dan had a sousaphone, maybe during marching season, he had a sousaphone home.
It just makes me laugh to think about us all trying to play Old Lang Syne with that mishmash of instruments. And then did Ken ever have a drum pad when Ken started drumming?
Oh, Ken definitely had a drum pad if he had a snare when he first started playing drums, it had the rubber pad with the thicker portion where snare drummers were supposed to drum, which is the center of it. And so,
and part of our tradition also was based on heritage, which everybody has this. It's really fun to see who makes what based on their heritage. So you just mentioned that you made the cutout cookies. This is the first year almost in my entire life that I didn't make cutout cookies that have the cardamom in them, which is the recipe that we got. And were you doing?
And I was thinking about that. I consider that to be a family recipe.
I do too. Do you?
Because I have never found another cookie recipe that has the cardamom in it.
You would have to be looking in Sweden for sure.
Okay. And that was my question. Is that a Swedish thing, or was it from Grandma's German side of the Borgels?
No. If you were to Google, I'm pretty sure I did this. If you were to Google countries' use of cardamom, I think Sweden's number 2 in the world. And I think that has to do with trading spices back in the day. And they put that into their cinnamon rolls, which may not have cinnamon, they might have cardamom, So that was definitely from the Swedish side of the family. And I think when we were little, Mom always just used a shaker, but I do a mortar and pestle and get fresh ones,
Well, and I needed to replace because I had some ground, but it had been so long since I made it. I opened it up, and if you can't smell it, it's like, okay, there's clearly no taste here because I can't get any of the aromatics. So even as expensive a spice as it may be, and it's not inexpensive, cardamom compared to
cinnamon,
a nutmeg or a cinnamon or pumpkin pie spice or whatever.
Yeah.
I got the cloves for the first time, and I broke the mortar.
Yeah.
So I had to use an ice cream scoop. I had the pestle, but I did not have the mortar to grind it. So it's like, what am I going to use here? Ice cream scoop. So I took the ice cream scoop out and I used that in the mortar and pestle to ground my. But
you MacGyvered the spice.
Had forgotten how much I like our family recipe. It's different, and what was also interesting is I made a double batch, and in the course of making a double batch, I had light brown sugar and I had dark brown sugar. And of course, the dark brown batch looked like they were burnt.
I did that with peanut butter cookies.
Because they're so much darker.
They tasted fine, but they were darker. Amazing. And I wondered scientifically if there's some difference between a dark brown sugar and a light brown sugar.
Or molasses.
Yeah.
So you should, technically, if you have really, really sensitive taste buds, you should be tasting a difference.
Okay. Yeah.
So that, I have to say, from my standpoint, one of the things I wrote down is there's a favorite cookie. And for me, because I haven't made it in so long, the cutouts are at the top of my list.
The cutouts are at the top of yours. So for me, and I don't make all the ones that Mom used to make by any means,
right? The lemon bars and the puff balls. And
right. I normally
orange icebox cookies, and I've got all the recipes.
Me too. I didn't even make lemon bars this year, and that's Caleb's favorite. But I also like to, now I'm drying up. Oh, I like delights, just the butter and stuff packed in the pan. But those are delicious when they're fresh. Given a week to 10 days, and butter and sugar can hold up almost indefinitely.
Yes.
But they get crunchier, and they're like then dipping coffee. But man, when they're fresh, there's very little. That's
yum.
Yeah.
The recipe would call them delights, right?
Yeah.
Which was basically the same dough as if you rolled it up in a ball and rolled it in powdered sugar. It was the same thing as that cookie.
Yeah. And I used to do that when I had the bakery. I would, I'd make a double or triple recipe, and I would pat them in the pan and do the regular recipe with the pecans. I would roll them in a dough and smash them a little bit and put a line down the middle with a wooden spoon where I would put jelly, and then I would cut them. I would also roll them and make lines and cut them in triangles and dip part of the triangle in either chocolate or white chocolate with peppermint, so that you could take that one basic short reddish kind
do
of
something with it.
Yeah.
All right. What about a favorite Christmas carol?
Oh, this is so hard. I think the one that I like the best, which always comes to mind, is Angels We Have Heard on High. Partly just because I like the glow, and because I can do it. I can do the harmony on it and stuff like that. So that's one that probably pops into my mind first. Yeah.
See, for me, it was, and I don't even remember singing it as much in Lindsey.
Yeah.
O Come, Emmanuel.
Really?
It's more my range.
Oh.
We were singing Gloria the other day, and I remembered having to learn to say in egg shell.
Sees Dale. Yeah.
Right. But I think it was Karen Rogers Oberst who was teaching kids down in
Sunday school downstairs.
Egg.
Well, that's funny. We'll have to ask Karen.
You would say egg shells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To get the pronunciation right. All right. So what about, this is one that kids ask me on a regular basis. It's like, what's your favorite Christmas song? And I say kids, but kids and adults ask me when I'm closing, well, what's your favorite Christmas song?
Okay. So I just told you this a little bit ago, which I would not have said until 2 days ago. Caleb and I watched A Muppet Christmas Carol. And I can't remember. We saw Muppets Take Manhattan, all those other Muppet things. I don't know if I had ever fully watched A Muppet Christmas Carol. And there are such good songs that Caleb and I are going to record this later, probably with Nathan too. And what's it called? One More Day Till Christmas?
Yeah, One More Sleep Till Christmas.
One More Sleep Till Christmas. And are so
magic in the air.
Magic in the air tonight.
Yeah.
And that, it just struck me. I was like, how can I not know this song? So I don't know if you can have a new favorite, but it's kind of a new favorite.
Well, and there's always the traditionals. That's why people get so sick of radio stations at the holidays.
Right.
Because how many different versions and covers of White Christmas or Silent Night or Let It Snow or Baby It's Cold Outside, whatever the case may be. So I thought about it, and one of the ones that's really at the top of my list is from a Christmas song standpoint. And I answer my question very specifically. I don't say I have a favorite, but I do have favorite version.
Oh.
So, for example, I really think that if you're going to listen to White Christmas, you just got to listen to Bing sing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to do the Christmas song, nothing beats Nat King Cole singing a Christmas song, no matter who else is covering it. But in this case, this is.
And when you say that, you're talking Chestnuts.
Yes. Yeah. That's the Christmas song.
I know, but not everybody knows that.
Not everybody. It's like chestnuts roasting.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, there is a band that I thought was Louisiana, not California. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy has a couple of Christmas albums, and they have one called It Feels Like Christmas Time. And it's kind of this bluesy, jazzy mix, and it's like the Grinch. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the lyrics right now, but it feels like Christmas time. Hope you have a very Merry Christmas.
So it's not just the song, it's the person, it's the recording.
It's the recording, it's the sound. Yeah. So, I mean, as much as we need a little Christmas, is originally from the Broadway play Maine, and Carol Channing did it. And then when they made the movie, it was Lucille Ball. It really, Johnny Mathis is one who should sing that.
I wouldn't know any of those things, as evidenced by the trivia that we recently played. However, I have to tell you, Eric, so Caleb and I went to some improv the other night, and they called it Loki or something for karaoke. And they had people put songs in a box during the intermission, and then they were pulling out the songs, and they were supposed to do improv around it. I just decided they're all heathens because they didn't know anything. But the first thing they pulled out was The Messiah. That's not a song. That's right. So they're all up there talking about it. There's like 9 actors talking about it. And I'm literally sitting.
Hallelujah.
That's what I said. I started doing that. I go, that's all you have to do, you guys, So then somewhere in the routine, the girl makes a joke about omnipotent reigneth, but she turned it into something else. So her brain was getting that. And then towards the end of the skit, she looks at me and she goes, that's there. And I'm like, for the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. And then they all went, hallelujah, hallelujah. Caleb goes, here's my mother getting involved in the. But then somebody else, there was another song, and I can't remember what it was. And maybe the Carol of the Bells. He knew it because of the movie Home Alone. Not because he knew it because he ever went to a concert.
Right.
It was super funny.
That's one of those songs that Carol of the Bells has been covered so many different times.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to what it was originally written as.
Yeah.
The emphasis of the voice is supposed to be the clapper hitting the side of the bell.
Mm-hmm.
Hark calling bells, sweet silver bells.
Yeah.
And there's people who do recordings of it who don't emphasize that correctly, in my opinion. So it doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how's that for snobby?
We've talked about it, kind of from the past. And I know today you said that we're recording this today because tomorrow you guys, Eric's in San Antonio. You probably know that. And he's heading up to Dallas tomorrow to be with his son and daughter-in-law and their family, granddaughter. And so when we talk about how life has changed, you work through the season, and now Jeannie has started being, what do you call her? Something Kringle?
Okay, so I set up my Instagram account
Kringle
as being
Claus.
Kringle Claus. And so she is
Casey.
Mrs.
Right.
Casey.
So she's done some with you, which is great because you get to be together. And did you go to a Christmas Eve service at church? What did you do?
No, we didn't do Christmas Eve because for us, we have done stuff with the family, whoever's here, on Christmas Eve. And because of Steph being in from Arizona and Tegan and Peyton coming in from different parts of, and when Rich was coming into town, part of that is we always focused on Christmas Eve because the kids' dad, Steph and Rich's biological dad, Richard, his birthday is December 25th.
Oh, wow.
Ever felt like we were going to try to compete, make them fight. That aspect of blended families just made no sense.
Yeah, why fight about that?
Us.
Yeah.
It's like, you do you, and but see us on Christmas Eve. So that's what we did. And I had a couple of requests for stuff on Christmas Eve, but like I said, one of them was our church going, well, we need you there at 2 and at 4 and at 6. And I was cooking dinner and family was coming over and Jeannie had to work until 4:30 in the afternoon on Christmas Eve as a nurse. So, okay. So I had another question. We talked cookies. We talked music. What about a snack? Do you have a favorite
this came up in the
snack
game too, because Caleb went Chex Mix. And then they were going to use Chex Mix for their first skit. And then he goes, holiday Chex Mix. And the lady in charge goes, okay, we've got enough of you or whatever. But the whole skit became about holiday Chex Mix and that Santa was mad that they forgot the sprinkles. That was hysterical. So what about for you? Is it also Chex Mix?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Chex Mix. And I made it. I think if you go to my Facebook page, it's still the background image is a big bowl. And I took such a great picture of it. I'm going, Man, this would be an amazing puzzle.
That's right. You did say that.
Shoot the picture and turn all the different shades of golds and browns and everything together. It is funny. I've had to modify the recipe because I give it out to clients. Occasionally I'll go out and I'll carry it with me, or I'll give it out. I took some over to my little neighbors, and because peanut allergies are such a thing now.
Oh yeah.
I don't include peanuts.
Interesting.
And because Elsie lives here, my mother-in-law, and she has dentures.
Easier to eat. Yeah.
The peanuts are hard. So I just don't use them. And I've substituted, I add some sort of like a cheddar, like a goldfish or something like that. I tried Fritos one time, and I think the Fritos I felt like made it too salty. I try to go to a lower sodium now anyhow.
Yeah, I don't alter it that much. I want to mention my routine, and I'm going to allude to what's behind me, because routine is not even the right word, because it's different every year, not knowing who's going to be here, what's going to happen. I plan very little. So tonight is karaoke. But one of Caleb's friends who is Jewish was here. So last night we lit the menorah with the first Hanukkah candle. Behind me, this, by the way, is the hutch that Dad built for me back in Ohio. And so the blue thing there is the Lucia from Sweden thing, and then actually a prayer in Swedish next to it. I have the Santa Claus tray, which I think is important to keep. And then behind me, for those of you that we were talking about the manger and how old they are, Nancy Lipstraw, I know you said you still have that one. There's several of us that's from the early 80s. And so some of those things become my traditions, but there was nothing about the rest of the routine. No, on Christmas Eve, I went to both an 11 o'clock service with the kids. Caleb went with me at 7. He wanted pizza from his favorite place, so we picked up pizza for lunch. Let's
go to Mama's?
Yeah, he wanted a slice of Mama's pizza. Yep.
He worked there.
Yeah. He comes home, he wants to go to Mama's. And then we didn't really have anything to do, and he had the day planned with me. So we went to a casino with our $40. And did you see that he won big?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you about that afterwards. He never has won this much money, but now they have money to buy his new couch. So it was quite a gift. And then we were gonna what were we gonna do for dinner? Oh, he wanted Mexican food. They were closed, so we made orange chicken. So we felt like we hit up the Asian, cuisine. And then we went to church, and then we watched the Muppets. Nothing about that day was like a routine that we were used to.
Close to going in there. We're going to repeat this again next year because of the closest you come to a tradition is Acres.
That's true.
Right?
That's
Getting
true.
together with Beth and the girls and their families now.
We have had game night with the Acres for at least 10 years. And that's usually the week before Christmas, one of our best times. And luckily our kids all get along. You know what I mean? They've known each other since Chelsea and Caleb since 8th grade. And it goes from a lot of fun and silliness to then some people leave in a pretty serious conversation about life and all of that. So yeah. And then Christmas Day, that was just yesterday. I got up. They didn't get up early.
We didn't open presents here until 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Caleb and I each had one thing for each other. I brought them something back from Italy. And then he went over to Jessica's, to his wife's family's house, and then came back. And then his friend came down from Phoenix, and we talked, and I made pizza from scratch, so there you go. Nothing that would have been a tradition. So,
but all memories and maybe the foundation for a new tradition.
Yeah. Never know what it's going to be.
So I know we're running out of time. We were going to keep this short, and look at the way
I know. We're really good at talking about our memories. Yeah. So
thank you, everyone, for listening, joining us, spending a little bit of time reminiscing about the holidays. I will have to say that we put our emails at the bottom of every single one of our podcasts. Send us a note, send us a text, connect on social media. What's your favorite cookie? What's your favorite carol? Do you have a favorite song? What about a favorite snack? Do you do eggnog? Any of those things? You have a tradition. We'd love to know, love to connect. We do, seriously. We love getting the comments that we get and making us think and helping jar our synapses so we can remember things about
anything.
Cato's, catty corner to thingamajigs, and Cindy and right? We don't take that for granted. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us as we close out the year. We've got a big year already in production, planning. What's the word? Anyhow, we got a whole schedule together for the entire year, believe it or not. And this is why Donna always says, Eric just tells me what we're talking about. Well, guess what? Out of all of the episodes, I left one block on the schedule that says it's Donna's choice. Pick.
Oh, dang. I'm going to have to look at that. I need to take a trip and then just come back,
There you go. We are both realtors with Keller Williams. Donna's in Tucson. I'm in San Antonio. We're here to help you. If you need assistance around the globe, we can help you with a referral to that. Reach out and get in contact with it. We would love to help and just have a conversation. Until next time and into the new year, everybody be safe. Have a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I'm Eric.
I'm Donna.
And we are Real Siblings.
I think we're getting worse at that, brother.
Maybe.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
I'm Annabelle, and I want to thank you for investing your valuable time in listening to Real Sibling. It Ain't Easy. I hope you found this episode informative and enjoyable. There are several ways you can support this podcast with my Grandpa Eric and Aunt Grandma. Please take the time to like, follow, and subscribe. Additionally, leave them a 5-star rating along with a review on your preferred podcast platform. The final thing I would ask is that you recommend this podcast to a friend, a family member, or an associate. Your engagement is critical to their ongoing success, and they look forward to connecting. Check out the show notes Grandpa put together with their contact information, including emails, phone numbers, and website. And remember, the Real Siblings look forward to hearing from you.